Hey teachers, what are the differences between conversational lessons and general English lessons on italki? Well, I'm going to tell you 5 differences today, and hopefully these tips will help you to set up your conversational and general English lessons. So hit that subscribe button, let's dive in. And for those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Ryan. I've been an English teacher for 5 years, and I've been teaching on italki for 2.5 years. So I've taught my fair share of conversational and general English lessons. And today I'm going to give you a few tips on how I structure my lessons to help inform how you choose to structure yours. And choice is a key word here because as you're going to see, there is choice that goes into these classes and how you plan these classes. So without further ado, let's dive in. Difference number 1, the student goals. You're going to see in your initial assessment with your student that their goals, typically if they want general English practice, their goals are typically to be using English at work. A lot of the time it's to be improving their reading and writing skills, for example, but it could also be for their speaking and listening and vocabulary and grammatical skills as well. Some of my students in my general English classes are also students and they're trying to go into university, right? So that's another common cohort that you will get. So your students' goals, what they want to do, will differ. Now that's the general English side. On the conversational side, a lot of the time, your students' goals will be more about general fluency. Yes, it could still be related to business. It could still be related to work. They want to improve their English for those reasons. But a lot of the time, it's actually to be able to communicate and engage in conversations more with people. That's what they're trying to improve. A lot of the time, it's not so much about the specific form and structures that they're using in their speaking, but it's more so about how they come off and how they are perceived in terms of the comprehensibility and the intelligibility of their language. Difference number 2, materials. Absolutely, materials are different. In fact, in a lot of conversational classes that I have taken as a student on italki, there are no materials. There is nothing. However, the materials that I use before, during, and after class are a lot more plentiful in general English, okay? So with general English classes, typically I send my students, I actually give them a syllabus, and we'll be moving on to that after. But I will send them for each class a pre-lesson reading or a pre-lesson video to get them prepared for the class. In the actual lesson, we will have different materials such as reading, like different articles. They could be different activities. I know this is going to sound very intimidating at the beginning, as it did to me when I first started on italki. Take it slow, step by step. Yeah, and slowly find more activities that you like, that are interesting to you. There are dozens, hundreds of them in the videos that I've posted for free on this YouTube channel. So check that out. And, get ideas, try them in class, see what works, see what doesn't, and slowly integrate them. You don't have to have a fully set in stone lesson from the very first day, but if you do plan to do general English lessons, then definitely start to incorporate them into your classes. So on the other side of the coin, conversational classes typically don't have materials. Now I do use materials in my conversational classes, and I'll speak more about that in a few minutes when I talk about different tips, okay? But typically a lot of teachers do not have any materials. You're not expected to have materials to a certain extent. So that's the big difference. General English materials, conversational English, no materials. Number 3, corrective feedback. Each teacher has their own style, and each student has their own expectations. So some students may have high expectations for you correcting them while you're speaking to them in a conversational class. But a general rule of thumb is that in general English, you will be a little bit more heavy on this corrective feedback. You will provide more extensive feedback. You will provide explanations as to why you're giving the feedback, or at least that's what's expected of you. Whereas in conversational English, some teachers don't even give feedback. And for me as a student, I like that. I'm totally fine of just, riding the wave and just noticing the mistakes that I'm making and the errors that I'm making. However, some students do prefer to get that feedback. But one thing is that in my classes that I take as a student, they are conversational, right? Whereas general English teachers would typically provide more extensive feedback, not just orally, but also in written form, right? So that's a key difference between general English and conversational English. Okay, so this one is for the English teachers, and I'm really sorry to people who teach other languages, but I'm an English teacher and this is all that I could go by. So this one is blurry nonetheless, but the fourth difference I would say is in terms of level. I do find that a lot of my general English students tend to be in the B1, B2 range, trying to make it up there to the advanced level. A lot of my conversational students are higher level. That's in general, okay? However, that's not set in stone. I do have B1 level students who just want conversational practice, and I do have C1 or C2 level students who want general English practice. So this is, take this with a pinch of salt, but for the most part, the level will differ. And I'm sure with other teachers teaching other languages, it'll differ even more because you will probably have students who are at a different level in general. Like for me, I haven't even encountered an absolute beginner in a few months as a teacher on italki. Whereas for you, you may be like, if you're teaching Spanish or French, you may be encountering them once or twice a week, right? So you may have more students who are actually even at the A1 or A2 level looking for general English practice, or you may even have people who are at the C1 level, but they're really like nervous to immigrate to a certain place, and different languages, different needs, right? Different contexts and situations. So you may have a complete different base of students, a different level, and that may influence what level your general English students are and what level your conversational level students are. But from my experience, the higher the level, the more conversational, the lower the level, the more general English. Difference number 5, structure. So I already mentioned materials. What's the difference between materials and structure? Well, you could have a material. You could have a video or an article and have no structure, like no activities planned for it. So the difference here is that you are typically going to have structure that goes along with your material, all right? If you need tips and you need help with this, just check out my Patreon channel because I have dozens of free materials and dozens of materials you could get for as little as $1 a month. And I have all of these different activities that you could put in to your courses. In fact, I even have syllabi, which I sell on there as well. So if you become a patron, then you could actually get access to my syllabi, right? And this is syllabi curricula that I have made from the ground up. I have made completely by my own volition, and I've kind of looked at what my students need and I've put it together on my own. If anything, this could help at least give you all an idea of where to go and give you a little bit of inspiration. All right. So definitely go and check that out. But yes, at the end of the day, it's good to have structure. Now, how much structure? Do you have to have a curriculum the way I do? Do you have to make a curriculum and spend endless hours doing that? Absolutely no way, Jose. You do not have to do that. You could find a lot of stuff online. What I did when I first started was creating a plan, a 5-lesson plan with the student, and having one topic for each class, one grammatical objective or one lexical vocabulary objective, whatever it may be for each class, and one activity or 2 activities for each class. Okay, teacher, so let me finish up with some tips, okay? These are tips that I wish I was told when I first got started. So I'm going to start off by saying some students will expect general English even when you're offering conversational English. And by that, I mean they expect the kind of style, they expect the structure, the materials, the corrective feedback that you would give for a general English lesson, even when it's not general English. Now, I understand that general English is quite like the difference between the two of them, it's not really set in stone by italki. And I'm trying to give you the best idea of what the differences are, but really it's a spectrum more than a black and white kind of thing. And it will depend on you to a certain extent. But there are certain things that I could tell you is not conversational English, at least not according to what italki I think intends it to be for or what it has grown into. And that is heavily structured, you know, with the personalized tailored syllabus based on conversational enhancement. And that's what some students expect. So this kind of ties into the next tip, which is the fact that usually general English lessons are more expensive. They're a little bit more expensive, or even a lot more expensive than conversational lessons. For me, I think my general English lessons are about 10 or 15% more expensive than my conversational lessons. Some students don't want to pay that amount of money, but they want to get the same quality by paying less money for the conversational lessons. What you want to do in that situation is definitely specify it to the student. A lot of the time the student doesn't know what the difference is. They see conversational English and they think you're going to kind of, you know, develop them into a conversationalist, like bring them up to C2 level in terms of conversational ability, but they expect you to do that with materials, resources, structure, yada, yada, right? So if you are not here to do that, then specify that to them and let them know that this is conversational English. The general English option is right there. Or if you don't offer it, then let them know they could book with another teacher. So that's a tip right there. Some students will expect general English even in conversational English, okay? And it's more expensive usually for general English. So the next tip I have for you is how you transition from teaching conversational English to general English. Because I know a lot of you are watching this video because you're interested in general English. You know you can make more money doing it. You might get more students for it, but you don't know how the heck to start. So let's talk about it. First of all, what you want to do is get 5 topics that you're interested in and put them into a little course, write them down. So that could be food, that could be sports, that could be animals, that could be health, right? And one more, let's say education. All right, so you have 5 topics you like, 5 topics a lot of your students will like as well, because at a certain point you want to give them actually like options, as I do with the topics, or you might not want to do that, but I like to do that, and my students enjoy it as well. So you might want to give them some options, but let's start off with 5 topics you like, you know how to teach, and you know the students will want, okay? So you have the 5 of them right there. You create a table with the 5 topics, and then for each topic, think about a couple objectives that could go nicely into that topic, right? So for example, let's say with sports, we could definitely use adverbs while speaking about sports, right? Like he runs very quickly, right? Or she I don't know, this is more dance, but she dances very beautifully, right? Or elegantly, right? So we're talking about actions. We could talk about adverbs, right? So do that for all of these. Try to find a grammatical or a lexical or a reading focus, writing focus, some sort of objective. Plot in 2 objectives for each topic. After that, find a few activities that you like. And again, if you want tips for activities, scavenge my channel. Head on over to my Patreon, lots of them right there, but find a few activities that you like doing with your students. That could be a spot the difference activity, a compare and contrast activity, a prioritizing and listing activity, whatever you need, and then slot those into these 5 different the 5 different topics. And right there you have a start, okay? You might not have an 8 activity, like a, you know, airtight kind of lesson, but you're getting there. And as long as your price for your general English lesson is in correspondence with how qualified you are, how experienced you are with giving general English lessons, and how much demand you're getting from students, then you will be successful. By the way, the perfect video for you to watch if you want more information on how to get started with general English is to watch my video about making a curriculum, because that really walks you through that, okay? And that'll just give you a start. Two more quick tips. The first one, the fact that structure is still good, even in conversational lessons. And now the mob is going to come to get me because I've seen it online and a lot of people are really against it. Let me clarify. So when I'm talking about structure, I'm saying it's still good to have a few activities in your back pocket just in case if you need them. It's still good to have a little bit of knowledge about grammar structures and how to teach them, even if you don't need it. Because after you build rapport with your students and you really care about how they do and how they improve, and they are still making the same errors over and over and over again, believe me, you will want to help them, even if they're taking conversational lessons. Now, this doesn't mean you're giving them a general English, like the whole shebang on a silver platter. It just means that you're maybe spotting a couple mistakes that they're making and just doing a couple quick activities with them to help them out, and then quickly pivoting back and returning to the conversation, to the initial conversational practice. Only if your students want to. Make sure you ask them in advance to make sure what they want, and also recognize that students' wants and expectations do change. So you could ask them something in the first class, but after you teach them 20, 25 classes, you could ask them again and see what their goals are, how they're practicing, and how they could improve. Another easy way to incorporate structure is with homework. And again, some people don't like giving homework. Some people don't like getting homework. This is always optional. I give my students this option at the beginning, the first day of class, and I give it to them throughout. So homework, that means for me, it's just written homework. I give them two different options that they could do for written homework. They do it, and then the next class, we spend 5 minutes at the end of class correcting it. I also have a course, like a conversational course, which has speaking homework, vocabulary homework, the writing homework, blog homework. But again, this is me, this is my style. I'm going in a different direction. I'm going above and beyond to try to keep my students. And maybe you'll find your own way of doing that in the future as well. But while you're getting started, recognize that you don't need structure in conversational lessons, but it's not terrible to have some structure, whether it be in the form of homework, or if it be in the form of doing maybe 1 or 2 quick activities throughout the class with students who you've built rapport with. And my final tip to all of you, no matter what you expect as a teacher and what you expect your students to expect, advertise it on your page. Let them know. The more information you give them, the better. And that way, if your students show up and they're expecting more structure or less structure, because I've had both. I've had some general English students like not want to do so many activities. So that both have happened. It's very, very rare. Only maybe like once every one or 200 classes. But be prepared for that. But make sure you advertise on your page exactly what you're offering, so that if your student asks, you could just say, hey, I put it on the page because sometimes they don't read that. All right. So make sure you advertise it. Aside from that, I think, have fun with this. It's good that we have different options, and this could be a great way to improve your teaching on the platform. You may run into a few challenges and speed bumps along the way. If you need any help, just send me a message. Particularly if you're a patron on my Patreon channel, I will look over any course outline you have, or any curriculum, or anything, any lesson plan you have designed. I will look over it on my own time and check it out. So that's it, folks. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that was helpful on the 5 differences between conversational and general English, and a few tips thrown in there as well. Again, my name is Ryan. Subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying the content. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And until next time, keep teaching, keep smiling.